great interview with the great authors that were here. Okay, so I'm just gonna let each person start, just to give a brief introduction about themselves. We'll start with most of you all know him, but if you don't, he's Swazi, the gentle giant. Go ahead and just introduce yourself.
No, ladies first.
I know.
Gentle giant.
Okay, so my name is Swazi N. In full, it's Swazi. The author of Unmasking Debt, Journey from Chaos to Purpose. So basically, my whole thing is about teaching people about finances, personal finances, trying to educate people into better understanding how to approach and position their money. Being someone who once was in the deep sea of debt, drowning, I think that just became a calling for me to. I'm really passionate about teaching people about money. So in a nutshell, that's what I do.
Roderick. Swazi. Yeah, he also has an English name, mind you. Roderick.
I'm trying to run
Yes. So you're gonna set the pace for us, right? So in terms of just being also intimate, just to allow us to understand where you're coming from, the time that you wrote this book, because you could have easily written on any subject like entrepreneurship. What experience made you write Unmasking Debt?
Okay, so in I think it was October 2022. October 2021. That's when I started writing the book, and then sometime in 2022, if you remember when there was the floods that we experienced in Durban.
Right.
So I actually was at a point where I was thinking of driving the car into the floods, the flooding river, just so I could phone the insurance company and tell them, hey, cover that,
Yeah.
So, but anyway, in October 2021, my wife and I started experiencing quite a lot of challenges financially, and it wasn't just financial challenges, it was more debt-related financial challenges, because when you're having financial challenges, you get a job, it's solved.
Yeah.
But if you're having debt issues, then it might take another 5 to 7, 10 years just for you to clear to clear out of that.
Right.
So what I went through, experiencing how debt actually affects relationships,
Right.
how it affects your health, and a whole lot of other things. I really thought it's imperative, or it's very important for me to start writing a book. And coming from a perspective of someone who does not come from the financial background,
Right.
I think it was very important for me to come from that view, so that an ordinary person can be able to read the book, and it's not written by someone who's gone to university and studied this thing for so many years as a professor. Now he comes back and tells you about how money works, but actually how it works and how it affects you as a person, an ordinary person.
Right.
So that was essentially the reason for me to write.
No, I think it really makes sense, because when any person that lives in the same country that's also influenced by the same market rates as you, many people go into debt. So someone who also made it out of debt, you can always know that you're relying on good information. Let me put it like that, because I can be in debt as well and buy a book and gain something out of it and know that this strategy or whatever I take away from it will fundamentally allow me to also have a certain result, because I'm affected by the same interest rates as you. I'm affected by the same inflation, affected by the same, just the same, backyard. So it has that sort of reliance. How was it, that state of being in debt, and how did it affect your family and friends? What is the relationship like?
When you have family members that when you get a call from them, then they're trying to ask for financial assistance, yeah, it was at a point where, and maybe just to backtrack a little bit. So it's one thing to be, in a financial crisis because you've been mishandling your money, versus when you're in a financial crisis because you've been told that there is such thing as good debt, and you obviously try and borrow money from certain institutions so that you can invest in that asset that you've identified. Then if you traveling down this road and there's speed humps that, there's signs to tell you there's speed humps ahead and stop signs, but there's no sign to tell you there's a pothole. And the moment you hit the potholes, the so-called good debt suddenly disappears, and it becomes as bad as the other bad debt. So you find yourself where you're at a point where now you're leaving home, say 4 o'clock, you're already out, going to work, and coming back home around 11, you don't have time for your family. And come month end, you can't even do anything because you don't see the money coming in, And so you revert to family and friends now. You've got car installments that haven't been paid a month, 2 months, and you have to now borrow money. And at the time, unfortunately, so you say, let's try and shy away from marriage because some of you might not be married, but all the more reason for you to go into marriage because you're going there eventually, hopefully. So, but now it happened at a point where we had small kids, and there's nappies to be bought. There's all these things that were happening. So, to your question, how were the relationship affected? It got to a point where I'm someone who's a bit of an annoyance to family, rightfully so, because every time you're having challenges that are never ending, and you're having to resort to family and friends, and while they know you've got this business that you're busy running, and then from nowhere now, you're always asking for assistance. So it affected my relationship in that way, where it became a very, very burden.
Do you think that they changed after you came out of debt?
But being a burden?
Yeah, I mean, obviously.
Sorry?
The dynamic.
Yes. Yeah. So it, unfortunately, so one of the things I always say, it's the sad part when it comes to finances. Whenever you read or you're taught about money, it's always we're talking about money, and we never really given that observation that when you move money, it's not just money that moves. Your health is affected, your relationships are affected as well. So to a point, it took a very long time for the people that I used to rely on at that time, for them to really start believing in me. It's okay. If Swazi says there's this thing that's happening, or when he phones, it's no longer about just phoning because he's now in trouble again, So it took longer to heal, and I can say it really took a long time for people to gain that trust,
Yes.
Yeah.
No, definitely. I can only imagine. I'm still yet to hopefully never cross that bridge, but I can only imagine. Yes. We look at debt, immediately we just think it's bad because it's liability. That whatever money or income that's going to come into our bank accounts, there's going to be that debit order that says you owe us, you owe us, you owe us. And a lot of people nowadays, they want financial freedom, and the best way to do that is starting something of their own. Specifically, I'm talking about a business, and let's say I approach uAbsa to I want us to get practical. I approach uAbsa and I tell them that, hey, I have a business plan and it goes A, B, C, D, and I need to take a loan. And I know that this business plan, it's detailed and written in detail down to the last bone, and I know that every cent is going to be accounted for. I have already gone to consultants and they've given good feedback. So everything about the business is promising. Is this kind of debt bad?
Yes.
Also,
That is just bad.
I mean, obviously, we take it as a startup capital to say, well, within the Q4 or a few years down the line, I'll be finished with that loan and I'll be making a prospectable business that will yield, a few millions here and there. So really, is it?
So the reason I say yes, debt is bad, it's I think the first question is, why did you think of debt in the first place? Why not a partnership with someone? Why
I think it's the most common. It's the most common factor.
So it's not really the most common. It's the most positioned to be a bridge or a solution for us. So the moment I remember, there was a time when I went to Springfield Park,
right.
and so my wife wanted a dining room table. So I just went to have a look at the furniture, and this guy was helping me. He had the phone that he had was very good quality for the camera. So I asked him, wow, I really love your phone. How much is it? Because I want to buy it, for the quality. I'm obviously venturing into the social media space.
Yes.
And he said, oh, for it, cheaper, only 300 a month. Now, if I ask you how much something is, and your answer is in installments, it tells me that we live in a world where debt has been positioned as a solution. Like immediately you want to go into a particular business and you're thinking, let me go and borrow. There are other ways of financing it without borrowing. Because essentially what it means, like right now, which bank did you say you're gonna go to? ABSA, okay. ABSA, ShopRite, Unilever, iPhone, Nike, all these guys, they are owned by the very same people that control everything. So and it's just a few people that are controlling everything. Mind you, behind the scenes, they also own the reserve banks.
Right.
And they positioned debt as a way to enslave people. And it's not me trying to be, what's the word, trying to be controversial. Not so controversial, it's no, it's this thing of your okay, let me just leave that. Not superstitious, it's
conservative.
No, what's
has to do
the
with
conspiracy?
Yes,
I'm not
Oh,
trying to be it's not conspiracy theory. No, it's a real thing, And so you go to ABSA right now and you say, how much was it? 4 million. Okay, and it's guaranteed. Okay, we look at the numbers, sign here. So by law, when you sign, you are obligating yourself that they can create money from nowhere. So the money that they'll be giving you, it's not like there's money that they have sitting there. It's money they create out of nowhere, and then they give you, they say, okay, we just created. And previously it was even a little bit better because they had to print it, give the illusion that there's something. Now they're just typing the numbers and then they say send. Now you have to pay back with blood, sweat, and tears. Let's just, with interest, obviously.
Yeah.
And your thinking was, I'm going there to borrow money, and I mean, you're going to a gunfight with knives, and you doing your arithmetics, 1 + 1 is 2, and they come with amortization. They don't calculate using your 1 + 1. So essentially, debt is bad because the system has been created in such a way that you going into debt, you'll never get out of it. They don't lose anything. I mean, they gave you money out of thin air, and you had to pay, blood, sweat, and tears to pay back. Let's say the 4 million was because you want to go into property, because property is this, investment that has been proven that you never go wrong. Let's go for about 6 months without paying the banks, because as you were calculating, did your what was that? Your advisors, the experts, did they know that COVID was coming? No, they did not. When COVID comes and no one is going to be able to pay you, guess what? When the banks come, they'll take something that let's say you've been 10 years, you've been, paying back. When they come, they'll repossess that. but they created money out of thin air, and yet you had to work blood, sweat, and tears, plumbing, whatever, electronic stuff that you had to, the renovation that you have to be doing, but they repossess that and they sell it to someone else. They've made so much money. So debt for me, it's unfortunately it's been positioned as a solution, as a bridge for you to get there. But why not go to someone? I mean, you've been in the industry for so long, you've worked for all these institutions, and I want to go into that space, you know, the academic space, and you know, so it is doable, harder, more difficult, but very doable. And what from what I've got from them, it's after you get the qualification, the level of freedom that you get, you know, the level of freedom that you get, it's beyond understanding, you know, because most people, they'll tell you the amount of paying back the money